get an insight and you know something, you know? But you don't want to say it out loud because you're kind of afraid that it's not going to be really true and it'll spoil the whole thing for you, you know? But when somebody makes you say it, then, and it's true, then it just makes it more beautiful of a thing.
Yo. Cash and the ticket is yours. Cash and the ticket is yours. Yo. Cash and the ticket is yours. Cash and the ticket is yours. Cash and the ticket is yours. Yo. Cash and the ticket is yours. Yours.
CGL.
This is just an absolute treat. These players are so damn good.
The talent on these teams is undeniable. Everybody on every team right now is making plays.
It's going to be an exciting start to the season, and it'll just get better from here on out.
We're about to step to a whole new era of Overwatch esports. So much exciting action is happening here on CGL that you do not want to miss. Look who's starting it all off, it's Raven. No one necessarily figure out what is the right way to go just yet.
What a nice roll through from Peyton. It's just gonna solidify everything for Mythos.
Does come back, and Arsario gets the mech, but I don't need a mech. I'll kill 4 anyway.
This is just a highlight reel for Arsario right now.
They're making a statement in the EU Masters tier.
This patch is still incredibly fresh. There's so much to learn, so much to change about the way we play the game.
NKC, but the shatter is colossal.
Let's get it going.
Trades keep coming through. Lores, you're gonna be able to find these shots true.
Idu on the overclock with 2.
Here comes an Ambulance immediately comes back to fine skills, slicing and dicing their way through 2, 3, so back and forth.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome back. Week 2 comes to a close here very soon here in CGL Season 16. We take a trip to our NA Masters here. We've got Rat Milkers versus Iliad Poseidon. Shadow, we're back in here. You ready to get this one going?
Absolutely. I've done quite a few Diamond games so far this season, but this is the first time I'm really going to see anything from the Masters tier, so I want to see what differences, if any, I'm going to see between the 2 tiers.
Yeah, and looking toward what we do know right now, we know that Iliad Poseidon got off to a hot start in their Week 1 matchup, a 3-0 win over SOH Storm Surge Sentinels, and Rat Milkers fell short in a 3-0 loss to the Fall, or a 3-1 rather loss to the Fallen here. So Rat Milkers trying to find their rebound, trying to get their win, stay on track to potentially make that mid-season tournament. And on the other side, Iliad Poseidon looking to make their push for the mid-season tournament in a great spot to do so.
No, absolutely. You can't start off better than 3-0, and I guarantee they're trying to get another 3-0 victory here, really secure their place in the upper echelon of this tier early on into it at the very least. And I'm really just curious to see if Rat Milkers can rebound from their tough loss last week. The Fallen seems to be a pretty solid team. The Fallen lost this week 3-2 to Low Ground Main. We've seen them be a really solid team in this tier time and time again, so there's some real possibility that Rat Milkers just went against a pretty strong team to start with.
Well, it's not going to be free here tonight either, right? Iliad Poseidon, Iliad has been a very prevalent organization through a lot of tiers of play in Overwatch over the last couple of years. So that they're fielding a pretty strong roster. So Rat Milkers going to need it to fight back pretty hard to stay on track this season. But for our first map here, it is still going to be Samoa here in week number 2. The same map that we started on all week. It's, not much is going to change. I can't really speak to what the teams are going to be playing as much right now because there's just so little data to tell us what they are actually, leaning toward. But, the meta has leaned towards the more divey compositions. The most rush we get is like Zarya right now, but Winston, Diva, Wrecking Ball, all very, very good right now. And the Hazard and Wrecking Ball are probably the 2 big options here. So I guess we'll just have to see what these teams are thinking as we get into our first ban phase.
Yeah, bans are really interesting on map number 1 because you kind of just don't really know yet. Unless, of course, you've scrimmed the teams outside of this, then maybe you have a good idea. But if you haven't, then I feel like map 1 is just a good map to ban something you personally as a team do not want to deal with. And on a map like Samoa, If you're, let's say, more of a diva team, you could ban out the Winston just so you don't have to necessarily deal with it. You could ban out a Zarya just so you don't have to deal with it. I think something along those lines is more what you go for. Or, yeah, okay, there we go, Amalga. That's perfect example of what I was just saying. Hey, I don't want to deal with Malga. Get him out of here.
And that means that Iliad Poseidon, who are now up to pick, cannot ban a tank. I imagine that we are going to see a very similar vein of ban here for Iliad Poseidon. You know, well, I guess they didn't give us much for their team sheets, so actually no information. But okay, you know, if you're not prepared to deal with a Genji, Genji could be very annoying, not in the worst state of his life, I can tell you that for sure. So Malga, Genji, the map number 1 bans here on Samoa. You know, not like, if you look at, you know, what everybody is playing at large, not the, you know, biggest of meta calls, but
yeah,
it's just more of an annoyance call than anything.
That's definitely what it seems like, because Malga is just an irritating tank to play against. Like, it just is. It could be a case too that the side of Rat Milkers wants to play Zarya, and having to deal with Malga with playing Zarya is really irritating. Just, you know, simply due to the fact his cardiac overdrive is just very, very strong still, just as a solo ability. But I mean, yeah, that's really all I could say on that, quite honestly. But we should probably get into these rosters now. So starting off with the Rat Milkers, we got Monkumi and Zachary run that DPS line. Satoru Gojo himself on that tank with Shay and then Fish on that support line.
Yeah, you know, like we were talking about a little bit earlier, they would like to get back on track after their week 1 loss here. Of course, Monkumi does like the Genji, but it's not going to be an option here, even though I think that was the more like meta impact ban coming through. You know, Rat Milkers, it does seem like they would prefer to run more of a dive just based off of the heroes that we're seeing for them. But on the other side, this is just our big man Headrammer guessing what heroes these might play. So this is not something to take into account. We've got Rambo and Britsky on the DPS line, George Sun on the tank, and Batman and Drain Cowboy in that back line. Like I said, we don't really have a whole lot of information about, you know, what this team likes, what this team doesn't like. But we do know it's going to be Batman versus Satoru Gojo, so could be a fight for the century.
No, absolutely. Yeah, Batman had prep time too, so that's the
strongest
right?
detective of history versus the strongest sorcerer of today.
It just makes me think of, like, every time they mention, they're like, he's really strong. Not stronger than Satoru Gojo, but still strong. Narrator every time.
We'll see how he gets through the Infinity. But yeah, like I said, our first map going to be Samoa here. Traditionally, kind of a rush map, but with the prevalence of dive currently in the meta, it has, you know, seen some change from that. Hazard has been very, very prominent in the meta at large. Wrecking Ball, also a great shout. We'll get to see what these players are going to rock out on. That looks like a Hazard on both sides, so it will be this. Oh, hey, yeah, pretty much bog standard here. Where I imagine Rambo is just going to go over to Tracer after the TP.
Yeah, it does seem to be that way. The big difference here being we're seeing the Wu Yang as opposed to the Lucio. So Rat Milker's running the Wu Yang, Iliad Poseidon playing that Lucio, and then the Pharah pick as well.
Hey, Knock, turn your stream back on, bruh. Hi, guys. Hi, guys. I think Knock on Wood died. Oh, no. Knock, no! Yeah. Pretty much meta, right? What we saw, the Pharah's a little bit more of a pocket pick for sure.
Right.
Just a comfortable thing. But for the most part, with the exception of not having like a speed option for, I think it was Rat Milkers, with the Wuyong instead of the Lucio. I mean, Wuyong has found himself in a very strong position. He does a lot of damage, does a lot of healing. He does a hell of a lot of damage at range. So it's not surprising that a lot of teams are leaning towards the Wuyong here early in his life as a hero in Overwatch. On the other side, something a little more classic. I believe it was Curie Lucio that we saw for a moment. Pretty much a standard, rush dive hybrid support backline. Curie for cleanse, Lucio for speed. Nothing too crazy.
No, and then like you said, it was just Tracer Soj for the DPS line. That's like the standard composition coming out from Iliad Poseidon. I think if you're Rat Milkers, you need to be getting like major value out of that Pharah pick. Otherwise, you're gonna be wanting a Sojourn, I would think, if the Pharah is not pulling major value. And here we go, back in.
All right, well, it seems like the gameplay never stopped for the team. So already 30% here for Iliad Poseidon. Gojo under a lot of duress, but Zachary gets the first pick in this fight. Downpour ready to go for George Sun. We're going to pop that down. Gojo in the backline, unfortunately, goes down in the trade there. A little bit of a spam there from the side of Monkumi on the point. You can see Zachary trying to take care of this hazard very low. Zachary and Monkumi come together to take down one each. Kitsune rush to clean up, and Rat Milkers will be able to take at just under 60% with 4 ultimates ready to go.
Yeah, I mean, that's the kind of value that you need from Monkumi to really make this Pharah pick be worth having, essentially. I almost wonder if that title purse is going to go on to Monkumi just so they can survive using this Rocket Barrage, because that additional health would be nice.
Well, there goes it on to Zachary, I believe. You'll see the boot come down. Fish going to back down. Spam from all angles for the side of Monkumi, or as many angles as they can get. We're going to see the downpour in response to the death of Zachary, but it won't connect, unfortunately. Now, Rambo looking for the pulse bomb. Will not find it, but ends up finding a kunai to the skull from Shay. The Tracer falls here. Cleanse tries to come down. They get the trade, but I mean, this is going to be a very tough fight without George in this fight to sustain them in the front line. Batman falls, and now Rat Milkers will take the lead here on the beach.
Very important fight for the Rat Milkers to win right there. And you pretty much have full ult exchange from both sides in that battle, where you're left with just a sound barrier available from Drain Cowboy. Next closest thing is going to be that downpour from George Sun. It's really going to be up to Shay right here for Rat Milkers. Try and build up to that Kitsune rush. That's really the only ultimate you can get built up.
Well, here's sound barrier down from Drain Cowboy to try and sustain through this early fight. And they will be able to find Monkumi. The aggressive sound barrier pays off in the end, forces these stragglers back, but they won't even be able to make it back to spawn.
No, slowly getting killed out they are. That sound barrier and just aggressive engage from Iliad Poseidon doing a great job. And you do have the downpour available if you're George Sun. Rat Milkers need to be ready for that because they don't really have a defensive ultimate to deal with that like Iliad Poseidon does with the sound barrier. So it's going to be very key that they play their positions right here.
Here we go, Zachary. Getting a little bit of that pepper damage in, trying to build up towards the pulse bomb. Now turning around to try and peel for their Kiriko. These walls, very annoying for George to get around. 2 of them blocking himself off. Does go down. Zachary meets the business end of that sound wave. Gojo, very healthy on the point as they try to take down these remaining players. Lucio going to try and stall out for a little while, but it will be a capture coming in. They're going to get aggressive with the Kitsune rush. Downpour down. Will not hold Gojo for a while. Pulse Bomb will connect onto Fish. Didn't get the stake, but does get the kill. Backhand to take down Shay here. The pressure on the objective isn't coming through. It's just Gojo and Monkumi left, and both fall here, 99 to 99. But Iliad Poseidon will take this first submap.
It was a very back and forth map there, but particularly in that last fight, it seemed like Rat Milkers got really, really split. I mean, we saw right there, it was basically just Rambo fighting both supports alone off somewhere. So at some point, the backline got completely split from the rest of the team. And I mean, you don't really have much protection in that regard. You kind of just have, this hazard available to you. Otherwise, you have a Pharah and a Tracer that are kind of just trying to attack the other team's back line all the time. So, yeah, just kind of an unlucky split that happened there and really, really contributed a lot to them losing that last fight.
Well, need to put them behind them as we head to downtown. Both Tracers getting a TP off, coming back in here very, very soon. These hazards meet in the middle by the clock tower. Just getting a little bit of spam, but Monkumi, talk about spam, finding a lot of damage to the wall to block off the healing for George Sun, who will just go flying out of this fight. Down goes the hazard for Iliad Poseidon in a pretty simple, fast win there for Rat Milkers in this second sub-map.
I mean, honestly, good job from Iliad Poseidon just backing off. You realize without your Kiriko, you have no chance of winning this fight. So, why contribute any more deaths than your Kiriko and Hazard? Just get out, reset. We can take the next fight here. But that's the advantage that your Pharah gives you, in a sense, is that you're going to have all this spam damage available to you. But if that isn't happening, then, it's tough.
Ooh.
A nice kill coming through from Zachary.
Yeah, Zachary had to use the recall, gets it picked up, but now the fight commences on the objective. Britsky trying to find something with this rail gun. Fight block, finding a little bit of poke damage there, pressuring Gojo back a little bit. Drain Cowboy trying to move around, trying to keep this team healthy and engaged here. Still no ultimates coming up for either team, but George Sun does jump the Pharah in the sky, able to take down Monkumi. Drain Cowboy very, very low, but able to back up. Can he stay alive? Very much able to get back around the corner. The cleanse comes out. They're able to avoid death by Pulse Bomb. Still, we're waiting for Monkumi to come back, but the point remains in control of Rat Milkers as they eclipse the 65% mark. George Sun able to come down and cut Zachary in half. Drop Fish with the primary fire. Gojo just left to stall on this point, cross that 75% mark.
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty good, honestly, if you're Rat Milkers. 75%, basically 80% now. That's not too shabby. Iliad Poseidon basically looking at all of their ultimates here. Rat Milkers, not quite as many. They have the Kitsune Rush pretty close on the Downpour and the Tidal Burst as well. So this is going to be a very, very heavy ult exchange fight. And if you're Rat Milkers, honestly, the best you can hope for is to try and get that sound barrier out from Iliad Poseidon. If you can manage to do something like that, that'll give you a big advantage in going into the next fight.
This Tracer battle so pivotal thus far in this game. Gonna see the Kitsune Rush down from Shay. Answered by Batman's. Gonna try and find the Pulse Bomb. Will not connect, but Drain Cowboy will go down. So that is no sound barrier in this fight for Iliad Poseidon as Monkumi continues to rain rockets from the sky. You can see Rambo trying desperately to take care of this Kiriko, but Shay, far too shifty, gets away, stays alive, and there's still someone on this objective keeping it contested. It was Rambo, but now Rat Milkers will begin their hold once more.
There's still two ultimates available here for Iliad Poseidon, being the sound barrier and the overclock. You could potentially get some high value there, but Rat Milkers having 4 ultimates online, everything but that Kitsune Rush, this is going to be a tough fight to try and turn for Iliad.
Well, here we go. We're going to see that title surge for Fish. Didn't quite see who it went over to. Now we're going to see the Downpour and Monkumi and Fish combine for the kill onto Rambo. Pulse Bomb stuck. We're going to see the rocket barrage it down, and Gojo went down in the middle of that fight, but did not matter as Rat Milkers kind of came in swinging there on the downtown.
Absolutely. I think the cover was a lot more beneficial for Monkumi on that map, namely that gigantic pillar that is in the middle of the map. You can just kind of dance around that as Farah, be able to launch those rockets and still hide behind cover. I think this, if I was to pick a map, I think this one's probably the hardest one to try and play Farah on this map. It's pretty wide open as far as like airspace is concerned. So I just, I don't know. I think Monkumi can potentially make it work, but it's going to be a lot more difficult than it was on the last map.
May just be a ground fair look.
Yeah, that really, you might just stand right behind Hazard and just fire rockets. That might be the play.
Well, all right. Reactor for Rat Milkers and Iliad Poseidon will move towards this objective. Zachary keeping track of, potential flankers. Sees the Lucio on the outside. Recall force as Gojo rotates down to the point. Disruptor shot cuts him off from the team there. George is incredibly low at the moment as the rockets come down from Monkumi. Not super, not too much cover unless you just play inside the building as Monkumi did there. Force Iliad back.
Yeah, I mean, that was really smart right there. Just kind of taking the 2v1 there, help your Tracer out. All you got to do is land a stray rocket as Farah, and it's highly likely that Tracer will not live through that. So, yeah, kudos to Monkumi here, just kind of not really exposing themselves to any of these potential threats.
And George in the 1v1 against Gojo here. Trying to play it safe. Looking towards one, and Britsky gets burnt to a crisp. Jumps into the lava. That's tough for the side of Iliad Poseidon. George gonna try and live here. We'll see if they can get that done. Oh, it's gonna be tough. They may just live.
Ooh.
Tough.
Oh, you had to say something. You had to say something, didn't you? That's crazy. Crazy work right there. That's I want to say late death, but not really for George. So it's going to be a little bit of a reset there. And now we're finally starting to come up on some ultimates here. Zachary with that pulse bomb. Gojo going to have that downpour. The Kitsune rush available from Shay. Britsky taking down Zachary, but dying in the process. That's an interesting trade.
Yeah, that is a tough trade. Shay under pressure from this Rambo Tracer. Now Fish, the one under assault, as Shay goes back in to try and help out with the fight at large. And Monkumi again. Rocket barrage down, Monkumi. Eat your words, Shadow Fang. Monkumi goes down to the spike guard, but it's 88%. And it is a very, very blue in this kill feed right now, Shadow. And it looks like Rat Milkers will be able to waste this map away. It'll just be desperation here. Gojo cuts the frog in half, and it's just up to Rambo to keep this going. No recall. The explosion damage from Fish will lock it down. Rat Milkers off to a hot start.
Yeah, it really seemed like Monkumi started to really find their footing after map 1. They had difficulty staying alive on the Farah map 1, but then map 2 and 3, no difficulties whatsoever. Just really pretty dominant, laying in that spam damage constantly, leaving people low for George to go in, get the slash kills, the headshots, and just an overall really strong play from the side of Rat Milkers, showing that, hey, they're here to play too, they're not trying to go 0-2.
I mean, just outright, the composition for Rat Milkers has a lot more damage potential with, not just the Farah and the Tracer, which Farah, believe it or not, does a lot of damage.
Yep.
But the fact that Fish and Wuyang in general is just so able to effectively keep himself alive, that primary fire is so strong, up close, long range. He's a very strong character right now for sure, the Wuyang. So I think that is kind of what helped Rat Milkers, as well as that the team at large was able to stay alive better. Monkumi played around that cover like you said, right? Zachary and Monkumi were going at it together. They were playing like this mini dive composition while Gojo held the front line. And then Shay and Fish in the back line That one play at the end by Rambo on Beach kind of dismantled them. The pulse bomb was the last thing they wanted to happen there. But by them playing together, playing so strong with these high damage supports, high healing supports, high maneuverability supports, stay alive, get that healing, move around, and Rat Milkers was just able to outmaneuver Iliad Poseidon in those back two maps.
Yeah, most definitely. I mean, I can't I can't really think of a time that Fish or Shay went down on the third point at all for the side of Rat Milkers. It really seemed like that little mini dive you were talking about was kind of taking care of any flankers that were potentially trying to come through there, because that Pharah can just take so much space on the map just by, rocket boostering back and forth,
Yeah, but for the side of Iliad Poseidon, one map down, need to keep it up. They are going to take us to Blizzard World to try and bounce back from, what kind of was a pretty dominant loss there at the end of the map. I mean, it was 100-0 on that final submap of Volcano. So Blizzard World, it seems like they're probably going to try to keep running this hazard comp, right? The dive is still incredibly effective on Blizzard World, way more so than it would be on Samoa in general. But it does lend itself to some other options, some not so prevalent options at the moment. If they want to play the Sigma poke, that could be a choice they can make. I doubt that they might, but I think it's worth talking about if it could possibly slow down this high maneuverability composition that Rat Milkers is playing. Be stationary, be long range, have the Sigma, have the Ash Sojourn. They like the Sojourn, so you need to be able to take care of that Pharah that is playing super safely around the map geometry.
Yeah, I mean, and just adding another thing to it, we're going into the ban phase here for Iliad Poseidon. I don't know. I think I would probably go for the Wu Yang ban here. I would try and just get that out of the way, because like you said, that spam and that healing over time, I just don't know if I want to deal with that character on this map. We could see the overreaction pick here of the Pharah ban, but I don't think that's going to be the pick. Oh, is that the pick?
Yeah, it is.
Fair enough.
Our big boss forgot to put it up there. Yeah, it's the ban there now. Rat Milkers are up. Speaking to that Pharah ban, it was a big reason that Rat Milkers won map number 1. So it's not surprising that we see that ban come out. I feel like we were going to see it at some point. But for the other side, it's going to be the Brig.
Okay.
So I'm trying to think what kind of value a Brigitte ban brings to this matchup. Because
I mean, maybe
they already want to play the dive.
Yeah.
So a Brig, if they were going to go that direction, would both help them and hurt them, I guess. But it doesn't seem like either of these teams were, too interested in running the Brig to begin with.
No, it could just be a thing where teams might like to play the Ana Brig Winston potentially, and they don't want to deal with that. So they're just like, all right, let's just get the Brig out of here. Pretty much denies any chance of that happening on this map, even if it wasn't necessarily going to happen per se. It's just they weren't feeling threatened enough by anything else. They want to get rid of the thing that could potentially be a threat.
All right, map number 2 still going to be the Hazard look. This time, though, Monkumi and Rambo are both on the Genji. Was, of course, banned last map. And, of course, Monkumi's selection of the Pharah blocked here. Don't really know if the plan was to play Pharah or not. But regardless, this is... really, you can't look at a team and say, hey, that's not meta more than like this, right? This is like the meta right now.
Yeah. Absolutely. And I think that Wu Yang Lucio, if the DPS are popping off with their ultimates, I think it's going to be a big deal not having the sound barrier. But if that isn't necessarily happening, that's not going to be too big of a deal. Batman taking down Zachary immediately, though.
Yeah, clean little headshot there takes down the Sojourn. And oof, George jumping up to the high ground. This fight, Shadow, is over well before it can even begin for the Rat Milkers.
Oh, absolutely. And it seems like Iliad Poseidon is like, okay, we don't have to deal with all that spam damage. We can kind of play a little bit more open than we were previously because those fire rockets, as you mentioned before, do a lot of damage. But here comes the point contest.
Gojo going down means that is simply not an option as the snowball continues here. The picks continue to roll through, and yeah, this is just brutal staggering here for the side of Rat Milkers.
It absolutely is. Iliad Poseidon looks upset about map number 1, so we're just seeing the just constant and immediate pressure. And Shay going to be swapping onto that Ana pick here, maybe going for an anti, trying to get some sleeps off, something akin to that. But only thing we're really close to here, Batman about to get up on that Kitsune rush here shortly.
And a very quick build of these ultimates for Iliad Poseidon, in comparison, as we see Satoru drop down to the low ground. George looking a little bit unhealthy, but Monkumi is dead as Rambo tries to get active. Down to 50 HP, has to dash away, getting that healing in from Batman. Drain Cowboy is going through a lot there as Fish continues to spam. You see, the further this water goes, the more damage it does, so Fish taking full advantage of that fact.
No, absolutely. Just basically winning a 1v1 right there in the middle of all that. Crazy damage able to be coming out from this hero. And my goodness, there's so many ultimates online here. Here comes the Kitsune rush from Batman.
Yep, in comes the Fox here as they will try to take care of this. Zachary gets it as the tidal wave goes on to Monkumi. And that tidal wave knocks down 3 people, helping Fish to clean up this fight with the help of Monkumi. Beautifully done by Fish and Monkumi.
Absolutely. Like you said, that tidal burst, getting that little bit of extra damage in. You got the slashes coming through. And, I mean, don't look now, but there's still a ton of ultimates available for both sides here. So I have to imagine that this is going to be the fight where a lot of them get shot out, unless, of course, somebody just dies super early.
Kind of a patience battle here. Anti out on to George, who has the downpour, and what a shot by Shay. Nano boost there on to the hazard as Rambo just absolutely eats dirt there at the hands of Gojo. Blade or not, nobody can escape the slashes. Well, I guess Gojo doesn't do slashes except for now, huh? That's kind of more Sukuna's thing.
No, for real though. But oh, look at this. We're seeing the Winston actually come out from Iliad Poseidon here. And I mean, all right. You got the Winston pick now, so I guess you're going to be trying to dive Shay here potentially pretty consistently. We'll have to see how that works out because, again, you don't have the nano boost available to you with this Winston, and there's going to be a lot of healing available.
There we go. Dive in there for George, who's... that's tough. We're going to see the Dragon Blade come down and Drain Cowboy not even get a chance to drop that sound barrier. Batman, the next casualty, and a few great fights in a row, but still 2 minutes on the clock here for Iliad Poseidon.
Yeah, I mean, that Ana pick seems to be doing a lot for Rat Milkers. They're doing a much better job of controlling all this space. They just kind of had to stop that initial push of Iliad Poseidon. But again, you've got the overclock available, you got the sound barrier available. You've got to get big time value out of these ultimates. Like otherwise, you're gonna get stuck in an ult dump next fight.
All right, here, OC ready to go for Britsky, who was very lucky to survive the last interaction there, got pretty low. Definitely going to be looking for this overclock. Try and take this fight. No real defensive ultimates to do it. Here's one overclock, and Rambo, one deflection, one shot from the OC puts a very, very efficient fight there in the books for. Well, actually, this health pools are not looking good. Somehow, some way, these 3 players left remaining after the first 2 deaths in the fight, they get the job done, and now 60 seconds on the clock. Rat Milkers, my God.
That's not what you want to see if you're Iliad Poseidon. You've got your Kitsune Rush online, so that could potentially get you something, but you really just you need to take down Shay super early here, so there's no value to be gotten out of this nano boost.
All right. They need to take a breath here. They don't have much time left. Kitsune Rush down from the turret. George almost building up to this primal rage. Now we're going to see the nano boost on to Zachary. George able to dive away. The Kitsune Rush will go away, but so will Monkumi. So, excellent first pick here. Rambo has another Dragon Blade ready to go, and the dive comes through. Well, Rambo doesn't find much there, but with Shay down, a significant portion of the healing is out of this fight. The Primal Rage to control so much space. Overtime begins, and George will track down Monkumi. We're going to see the downpour come through. Bubble goes away, so nothing to block it. Zachary finds 2 in the wake of that downpour. The downpour game-changing tidal wave ready to go. Will not quite find the knockdown, but will find the kill. Iliad Poseidon fall just short here on this second point, and Rat Milkers, excellent rebound after that horrific first fight.
No, absolutely. Just doing a good job of just not getting caught out by those kunais of Batman. So that was the good response from them. I really like this back line of the Rat Milkers. Fish and Shay doing such a fantastic job of just rarely ever dying. And that's really impressive, especially considering Shay is running that on a large majority of this map so far and not really needing that much protection at all, being so far removed from the fight that every time we saw George actually go after Shay, they were pretty much just dying immediately because of how far away they had to go in order to do so.
Yeah, I mean, just swarm, right? That's how you have to play this, especially because, like we talked about last map, Rat Milkers, they're playing a very, very maneuverable composition. Zachary dash back, Monkumi dash back, as Satoru Gojo jump back. Shay does look like they are hovering the Kiriko, so maybe the Ana was just kind of a response to the potential snowball of Iliad Poseidon, which I might add, I agree. It was an excellent call, right? Sleeping a Winston is brutal whenever you can get that done. But even when George was on the hazard, right? The anti-nades came through every time George tried to do anything, and nothing went the way of George, not during the hazard play, not after it, right? On the Winston. The Ana was just the right call because, like you said, yes, Shay was super far removed, and it's very possible for Rat Milkers to just say, hey, Shay needs help. Let's bail back.
Yeah, absolutely. And they were doing it every single time. They were doing it incredibly effectively. And it was taking just such a massive ult dump from Iliad Poseidon to even win a fight that by the time they did win the fight, they get right to second point checkpoint. And so that's why they weren't able to cap it, because they had to ult dump just to even make it back there to actually do something to the back line of the Rat Milkers there in that fight. And so that's, I don't know. It's a tough position to be in if you're Iliad Poseidon, because the Rat Milkers have shown so much adaptability, and just from that last fight, they just showed that they're able to really adapt to whatever position they find themselves in.
Back in here, Iliad Poseidon, the ones looking to change it up quite a lot, I might add. George on the Wrecking Ball now, the other very prevalent dive tank in the current ecosystem, I guess. Drain Cowboy also opting to go for... It's such a stupid character, just watching that water fly over the wall, but it's the Wu Young. So we'll get into our attack here for Rat Milkers, forcing them off the high ground. Will not control that high ground any longer, but a lot of damage going into Zachary, but a lot of damage also going into George. This Wrecking Ball cannot fall here if they want to have a chance at being able to hold on to this fight. George able to run away, goes back in, able to get the adaptive shields off, roll back to point, and Rat Milkers now taking the space that has been so graciously given to them by Iliad Poseidon. They are swarming this objective now. High ground control for Satoru Gojo. And you see Monkumi going down there. The critical HP for this Wrecking Ball as Gojo walks up towards the high ground here. You see Gojo does not want to have anything to do with that Wrecking Ball, who ends up going down to Zachary. So good call there, not focusing on the low tank, but Drain Cowboy and I believe it was Rambo able to find one each, and will be able to stall off this Rat Milkers attack.
And really right there, you're seeing the insane value that the Wu Yang can provide for your team, because you're just pulling, as Drain Cowboy, you're pulling the tank Satoru Gojo's attention for, what was that, like 10, 15 seconds straight right there. And Satoru doesn't even get a single kill out of the situation. It allows your Wrecking Ball and George to really go and recover their health, as they've been getting just obliterated so far. No deaths, but getting very, very close to it consistently.
All right, well, Monkumi decapitated there, unfortunately for the side of Rat Milkers. George Sun looking to find some, well, does find some value here on the roll through helping out Drain Cowboy find that final blow, and Iliad Poseidon has pushed Rat Milkers away, even on to the Cassidy, to try and take care of this Wrecking Ball.
No, I mean, absolutely. And I think it's the wrong character you're looking at. It's the Wu Yang swap that's really doing this. Who are we seeing getting all these kills? It's all that spam damage coming in from that support character.
Well, here we see the title surge there from a Fish. Now downpour in. The cleanse does not come through nearly fast enough, and another game-changing, game-swinging downpour here from Gojo, as the minefield also comes down for George Sun, who will control a significant portion of this objective. The Wrecking Ball very low here. He needs to stay alive, but oh, that is awful, awful, awful for Gojo. Gets stuck, and I mean, it is an immaculate rebound for Iliad Poseidon.
No, absolutely. Just the pure survivability of George right there. Managing to get Zachary with the minefield, I think, was the big one. Like, once that happened, you had a real chance of turning that fight. And then, not to mention the pulse bomb coming in from Rambo and managing to take down Gojo there. It was just exactly what had to happen for you to win that fight. Like, I don't think there's any other way you can win that fight if you're really Poseidon. And that is tough, though.
Yep. Beautiful there, Britsky. Falls, Kitsune rushes, crossing here. Zachary finding those fan the hammers. A lot of damage and a headshot left hook to take down Rambo. Beautiful. This Kiriko on the high ground getting the healing from the Wu Yang, but it will be a clean fight here for the side of Rat Milkers, only needing that Kitsune rush and the pulse bomb to take care of it.
Absolutely. And I mean, once again, at this time, I got to shout out Fish. Just consistent final blows coming in for these Wu Yangs, just back and forth. That water ball does a lot of damage, especially when it's just being shot out from such a long way away. And now going into this next fight, you're going to have a Deadeye available from Zachary. I doubt that's going to get too much, though. Deadeye is a tough ultimate to get value out of. Downpour from Satoru Gojo, though, that's going to be, I think, the important one. You need to catch somebody out with that, preferably Drain Cowboy on that Wu Yang if you can.
Right. Well, Rambo meeting their end once more to the Peacekeeper of Zachary, and Iliad Poseidon will We're going to see George looking to put some spam into the hazard there. Ooh, very low there. Gets the cleanse, stays alive as this fight begins properly here. We're going to see George roll back through, hindered up. Under 100 HP, able to grab the Mega Health Pack. Again, George just surviving, but Rambo cannot right now. George under significant duress. A body block from that small character, the Tracer, doing so much work in this fight. Monkubi coming alive there as the rest of the team cleans it up. Match point for Rat Milkers.
And I mean, it took a little while on that first point to break it, but once it was broken, it just the downpour just never stopped from there. And I mean, I gotta shout out I can't help it, but like it feels like the two Wu Yang players are just going back and forth on here. Fish getting these constant final blows with this character, just doing tons of damage and just managing to live through basically everything, as we see right here in this moment. That's an insane play from a support player. You just got 3 final blows right there, stopped an entire dive. Like, that's insane.
I mean, think about it. That was exactly the same round as what we saw on Iliad Poseidon's attack, just flipped.
Yeah.
Just flipped. The defense was dominant for a long time for Poseidon, and then Rat Milkers just turned it around and started dominating. And so now, I mean, I guess it doesn't really matter how you get there, whether it was slow or quick. They got the job done, and so now Rat Milkers are on the verge of their first win of the season here. 2-0 over Iliad Poseidon. We're going to take it to a quick break here, and when we come back, we will have Iliad Poseidon's final map selection of the series, and we'll see if they're going to be able to stay alive.
crazy, Malin. I'm not crazy, Malin. I've just been in a very bad mood.
All right, welcome back, everybody. Right now, Rat Milkers on the verge of a sweep headed into map number 3. You know, when we came in here, you know, we looked at the results from, you know, last week, and you know, we had some questions, right? Of course, it's not a lot of information. You know, just 1 week of data of results to go off of, but we have some questions. Is Rat Milkers going to be able to bounce back after a tough loss last week? The answer is a resounding yes right now. They're up 2-0 over Iliad Poseidon, who got a very strong win last week. So, I mean, I've been thoroughly impressed with all 5 players on the side of Rat Milkers tonight.
No, absolutely. They look like a well-oiled machine, quite frankly. Just whatever needs to happen, all 5 players are making it happen in one way or another. You know, from something as simple to an Ana swap so we can get this ante off, so we can stop this hard push that Iliad Poseidon is giving us, to, I mean, just every time so far, it seems like as the map goes on, Rat Milkers are figuring out what Iliad Poseidon is doing and dealing with it, and we're going to see if they're going to be able to do the same thing here on Surabasa.
Couldn't agree more. I mean, it really is a learning game, and Rat Milkers are just learning so quickly. So now, you know, that is Iliad Poseidon's last map pick of the night. We head into our ban phase, and of course, Iliad Poseidon will be also making their final first ban.
Yep.
At this point, I'm really not that sure, you know, where we go. I think the Wuyong is a good shout, but I think that they also looked their best when they had a Wuyong on their side last map. So, it will be the Wuyong. So, you know, it will take the power out of Fish's hands. But now as we head over to the Rat Milkers, what are you thinking? I'm really not super certain about, you know, what they might be thinking.
Honestly, I think the Rat Milkers might get creative and play something different here. So I'm going to take a shot in the dark guess and say they're going to ban an Orisa out here, because they want to try and play Doomfist, because I noticed that Satoru Gojo is a Doomfist player. And I don't know. That's just my shot in the dark guess. Wrecking Ball is the pick, though. I mean, that makes sense. We did see that pick come out as well from Iliad Poseidon last map.
So yeah, I mean, Data, they have played the Wrecking Ball, but Wrecking Ball is one of the strongest tanks in the game right now, and Suravasa is one of his strongest maps, right? When you just have this ability to roll freely through these tight corridors, Wrecking Ball commands so much respect, and he's so hard to kill. He's got just infinite mobility, nearly infinite health pool. You know, 1,000 AP in the middle of a fight is, in the middle of every fight, mind you, is kind of ridiculous, and the ability to hand it off to teammates. So, the Wrecking Ball ban does make sense. They looked very, or rather, Iliad Poseidon looked very competent with the Wrecking Ball, you know, at the beginning of their defense on Blizzard World. It did end up falling apart in the end, but I do understand Rat Milker's, you know, hesitation to go up against the Rodent.
You know, I think too, the Wu Yang ban has something to do with it, because that's part of the reason that we were seeing the Wrecking Ball get, you know, obliterated mostly. Like we kept seeing every time we saw just POV, they were just getting shot down to like minuscule health immediately. I think a lot of that had to do with that additional spam damage coming through from that Wu Yang. And if you're going to be running Lucio, you're not going to get nearly as much of that as you would be with those little water balls that do so much damage here. But we are going to be seeing a Junker Queen composition come in from the side of Rat Milkers. it could potentially be a good comp, but it's just going to be difficult. You need to secure kills quickly because Hazard's going to win the long game against you.
All right, here we go. Sravasa market here. As always, Gojo popping that commanding shout, backing out around the corner, trying to get that healing up. Will head back to full HP. Monkumi and Fish both incredibly low. Rambo going at it with their mirror image on this high ground. First flip will come through for Poseidon as Rambo continues to throw out these shurikens, and Monkumi will fall here. So Iliad Poseidon will be able to take definitive control of this objective.
I mean, it isn't too surprising there. Like I was saying, George just has the advantage on that Hazard in a long, prolonged fight because you have the damage reduction. I mean, really, that's it. You have the damage reduction, and Junker Queen doesn't have that. A smaller hitbox, yes. Maybe some bleed healing, but the only target you really have to slash consistently is going to be that Hazard who takes reduced damage from it.
Looking for it from the back line, putting some pressure on these players back here. Zachary taking a lot of damage. I'm pretty sure that was from draining Cowboy there. Now blinking away, going to try and grab a health pack, and Rambo will be able to track down Fish. I mean, look, they looked a little unhealthy for a moment, but Iliad Poseidon able to once again play that long game and come out the other side just fine as overtime begins. And ends.
It ends as swiftly as it began right there. And I mean, it's kind of exactly what I was thinking would happen. I mean, Fish not being able to stay alive nearly as long on this Lucio, you're seeing the ult discrepancy difference there, nearly 20%. A downpour has already been used, and Gojo still 72% on that rampage. Like I said, it's just difficult for Junker Queen to build ultimate into these characters. It's nothing but mobile characters, and then a Hazard. The Hazard's the least mobile, but they can still move around the map.
Well, Britsky going down here as well as Batman puts Rat Milkers in a very good position, especially with the fact that Iliad Poseidon is the only team here that has invested an ultimate into this first fight. George will be able to take down Monkomi, but numbers, health, damage, they're all in favor of Rat Milkers right now. They're going to grab this point, and Rambo will just stagger themselves out, unfortunately.
And it not costing any ultimates for the side of Rat Milkers. Again, it's what I keep saying over and over again. If this Junker Queen composition is going to work for Rat Milkers, they have to win fights at the snap of a finger, just like that. That has to be how you take these fights. If you're not winning them that quickly, the survivability of the Hazard is just going to win out.
Here's the Rampage hits for the cleanse is only on to Batman. Britsky is the last one affected permanently, and that's tough as Britsky goes down the Rampage, doing so much even with 2 answers to it. And at 70% here, Shadow, it's looking like, well, now that Monkumi's down, it's going to be a little tough, but it's going to be a very, very close fight coming up here soon.
Oh, absolutely. I think if you're Rat Milkers, you can kind of just back off a little bit, wait for your Genji to get back and rejoin this fight. We are going to see the blade come out from Rambo, though.
And Rambo does end up falling, but I think this is a smart disengage here from Rat Milkers. They've already got 99%. Do not want to invest anything more.
Mm-hmm. Very smart play there. You managed to at least get the blade out of the side of Iliad Poseidon. You've got a blade of your own and a Kitsune Rush if you're Rat Milkers. That's going to be your advantage, that Kitsune Rush. You need to put that Kitsune Rush in a spot where your team can get massive value out of it. Try not to get everybody caught in this downpour of George, though. That's going to be the tough thing that you got to avoid here.
Well, the downpour will not connect on it to anybody, and the Dragon Blade is pull drain. Cowboy cut in two. Monkumi meets the same fate as their brethren there. Batman, the last to fall, and this will be... Well, I guess it's George that's the last to fall. My bad. But it's 99% already here for Rat Milkers. So a very swift palace here for Rat Milkers as we head over to the garden.
Yeah, and absolutely that is exactly how you've got to be playing this Junker Queen comp. You got to be securing these kills quick, fast, and in a hurry, not allowing the survivability of the hazard composition to beat you out. But here comes the Kitsune rush out from Batman.
But Britsky's dead to the pulse bomb of Zachary. Beautifully done. Fish does end up going down here. A little unfortunate that that Carnage doesn't hit a target there, but Cleanse will come through, landing onto the Lucio. Drain Cowboy just having to play for their life, but ending up losing it in the end. Gojo gets the Cleanse, stays alive. Carnage will connect there onto the Genji, and you know, I really don't want to curse it, but it's happening again, Shadow. They're learning.
You know, it does seem to be the case that they have figured out how exactly they need to play into Iliad Poseidon. It's like they took point number 1 to be like, okay, so that's how you're going to play this comp? Okay, so we need to do exactly this every single fight, and we'll be able to deal with it. Maybe that's the case. Maybe Iliad Poseidon turns it around here with this overclock and downpour combination that they have right now.
Fish needs to build up to this this sound barrier very, very quickly. We're going to see the downpour come in very soon. Will not connect. It looked like it was only going after Gojo, who will end up trading, but Shay is off the map with the crocodiles there. Gojo, not exactly the healthiest that they have ever been, but it will be Iliad Poseidon being able to come back in and take advantage of the mistakes of Rat Milkers.
Again, I mean, honestly, just kind of a smart play from Iliad Poseidon there to just ignore Gojo, right? For a little bit, at the very least. You know, when that shout comes out, when they've got their slash available to them, like, you kind of just want to avoid that Junker Queen or block them off, like in this situation right here. I think that's a solid wall, but you still can't really do much.
All right, here we go. Dragon Blade pulled. Fish able to escape. Very, very good. But that's an Ajax there, and Iliad Poseidon will lose out on, or rather, Rat Milkers will lose out on that ultimate. Now they are in a position to win this point with just one more fight.
One more fight, yes, but 4 ultimates going to be online for the side of Rat Milk. Drain Cowboy does have the sound barrier available, as well as the Kitsune Rush being available for Batman, but that sound barrier can't save you from every single ultimate.
Well, here is the Kitsune Rush. Shay under duress, but Rambo trying to take care of it. Sound barrier down, but with Gojo out, no Rampage coming through this fight. Kitsune Rush, but it's a 2v5, Shadow. This is not the fight that you wanted to invest that ultimate in.
Yeah, that's a bad investment there from Shay for sure. You could have used that in this next fight. Now, as it is, you're going to have a Rampage available going against the Downpour, though. But George has been kind of missing these Downpours, not really catching too much with it at the moment. So, I mean, if you're Rat Milkers, though, you need to get out this Suzu before you use this Rampage. You cannot use this Rampage and then just have it immediately cleansed as it has the last time.
All right. Nice little knife there on it to George, who has to use that Violent Leap to get out. Rampage ready to rip. Seems like they're a little bit more hesitant, and the cleanse will come through to help out, but George just facing down a full HP Junker Queen. That is a lot of damage as they look to clean up these stragglers. Cleanse comes through. Rambo goes off the map intentionally there, and Rat Milkers will begin their hold here on the temple. That's the name.
You hate to lose that downpour for really nothing if you're the side of Iliad Poseidon, but you do manage to get at least a little bit higher on your ults. Probably going to build them up after the end of this fight. And again, Rampage still online for Gojo here, so that's going to be the big thing to watch for. That is not what you want to see, though, if you're the Rat Milker. Zachary, really?
That Rampage comes down. Brisky gets cleansed there. George, the only one that was still affected, but it does go away quickly. Batman at the hands of Gracie will fall. Now Overclock ready to go for Brisky, should they so choose to use it, and they will not need it. Gonna see that Disruptor shot come down. There are some, picks going the way of Rat Milkers, but in a 1 versus 2, it's gonna be tough for Monkumi, who ends up falling to Rambo.
You do still get it to 97% though if you're Rat Milkers, so all is not lost there. And both teams getting a lot of ultimates up and going. And I think by the time this engage like really happens, you're gonna be seeing every ult online for both teams except for that rampage, and that's going to be insane. If you're Iliad Poseidon, you need to make sure to not dump all of your ultimates here because you're going to need at least one more fight after this one to take this point.
Well, here is Batman's Kitsune Rush. Well, hey, Shadow, I think they said to shut up. Brisky pops the overclock. Rambo not finding anything with the blade. Brisky not finding anything with the OC, and that will be a fight win going the way of Rat Milkers, only investing the Dragon Blade in the Pulse Bomb. That is absolutely backbreaking for Iliad.
It's a tough position to find yourself in for sure, especially not. You're at a Kitsune Rush disadvantage for first fight off the last point of the map. That is the spot you really don't want to find yourself in. Again, you're really, if you're Iliad Poseidon, it's kind of up to Drain Cowboy to have just a significantly better sound barrier than Fish has, but that's asking an awful lot.
Well, here is the first. We're gonna see the sound barrier answered there. So they end up losing this fight, but ultimately they're gonna have a couple of really strong ultimates coming into this next one. They're gonna what? Mojo, no! Bad boy! Don't throw that rampage in there for nothing!
Yep. That is quite possibly the worst thing that could have happened for Rat Milkers there. You got the Kitsune Rush, which is going to give you a huge advantage here, but it can be kited. The Kitsune Rush can be kited and avoided for the most part. So, yeah, I don't know. I highly disagree with that Rampage investment there. That's a tough ultimate to lose.
Do you think you think they caught that I don't agree with it either? Okay, well, here's the Kitsune Rush. It's going to get cut off by the wall there. That is also not the best Kitsune Rush I have ever seen, unfortunately. There's just nobody nearby. Zachary in the backline with a Pulse Bomb looking for a target. George does actually end up falling there, so this will be a fight that is very much winnable. Zachary with 45 HP, not looking, the healthiest at the moment, but it will be a very, fist-clenched fight win here as the Kitsune Rush actually comes down from Batman without George or Britsky in this fight. Batman throwing in that Kitsune or the kunai, but somehow it actually ends up working out as George was able to come back in. There's no ultimates really here for the remaining players of Rat Milkers, so that will basically just do it for this map, as it will be Iliad Poseidon finding themselves on the board.
Yeah, just a few stragglers coming in here and there, but Iliad Poseidon turning it around, managing to get that first map win, and hopefully, they can steamroll that into potentially another map win, get them some more W's here, maybe get a 5 mapper. I'm never against that, of course. But the Wu Yang ban, I feel like, ended up kind of showing how valuable it was there, because you just didn't have that extra poke damage consistently the whole game from Fish.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. It was kind of apparent how much more uncomfortable Fish was on the Lucio, which, they still made it a very close map, which they were playing the worst composition with characters that they're uncomfortable on.
Yeah.
So I'm really not that worried about Rat Milkers, right? They really did run it very closely there. Iliad Poseidon now, the problem stands that you can't ban Wuyang again, right? That's not a thing that can happen anymore. So now you have to beat Rat Milkers when they have access to one of their strongest tools, right? Fish on that Wuyang. And so far, I mean, it really hasn't been apparent that they're able to, they're able to do it for a little while, but as we've kind of talked about, Rat Milkers has, gradually picked up momentum. It's not a burst, right? They're not sprinting from the starting line. They're probing out, they're feeling out their opponents, and they're beating them in a long game, right? So Iliad Poseidon have got to be able to do the same.
No, absolutely. I mean, it's gonna be a really tough ask, honestly, because we haven't seen them beat this Wu Yang based composition just yet. We have not seen it occur. We saw that initial push on Blizzard World go incredibly in their favor, but that was just stray kills happening before the fight actually began. When it's been just a straight up neutral fight, it's been very, very difficult for Iliad Poseidon to try and find something. But we do have our map pick here from the Rat Milkers, and this honestly makes perfect sense to me. It's Coliseo, and that's just because, Wu Yang can just shoot them water balls straight down a corridor, and you've just got that constant flurry of poke damage coming onto your team.
Yeah, I mean, I agree, right? They already want to kind of be running, what is considered one of the better compositions, right? The Hazard. I'm pretty sure they only didn't run the Hazard last map because they didn't have access to the Wuyong. That and Junker Queen is also, if you're going to play Junker Queen anywhere, a Flashpoint map will kind of be the one to play it on. But now, as we head over to Coliseo, the dive becomes a bit stronger. The Hazard has to be the pick here if they want to be able to keep up, which we've seen that they're able to keep up with Iliad Poseidon here. So I agree. I think Coliseo makes sense. They will have their selection of map picks through the end of this series, so that is the real power of winning the first 2 maps. You get 4 map picks in a row, potentially, so you're giving yourself the best chance to win here late in the series.
Yes, could not agree more with you there. Rat Milker is going to have their choice of ban here, and I mean, this is just every ban I can think of, they are also using really well, because like my initial thought would be the Kiriko, but they've done really, really well with the Kiriko themselves so far. So I don't know, you could potentially even go for something as niche as like a Hanzo, because shots on Coliseo do go kind of crazy here.
I think they banned Sojourn, no? Okay, Lucio. My train of thought for Sojourn was that they weren't really focusing as hard on the Sojourn. They liked the Tracer Genji for a lot of the series, but no, it's going to be the Lucio. No sound barrier is going to come through it. You know what? Now that I think about it, it does make sense, right? The only reason that they were playing Lucio on map number 3 was because Wuyong was out of rotation, right? So now you're taking away one of the most comfortable support characters for the side of Iliad Poseidon, while you look over to the other side, literally everything else that you play, they're playing. So that was the only real difference, was the Lucio. So I think that is actually a very, very good ban, and this ban for the side of Iliad Poseidon is just not going to do anything.
No, it isn't, and it's just tough when you're playing mirrors into each other, because my other thought would be ban Hazard, but you've been playing Hazard, and you've been playing Hazard pretty well so far, so, why get rid of it per se, but that was the only other thing I could think of. And then the Orisa ban, I don't expect Rat Milkers to play the Orisa at all. If anything, like, I would expect them to just continue on that Hazard, maybe even pull out some Doomfist if they're feeling really frisky, but I don't think they're going to.
I think if they were going to play anything else, it would just still be the Junker Queen. Junker Queen's alright. This Coliseo can also be a rush map. I mean, for a long time, that's kind of what we thought of it as, but it has evolved into more of a hybrid kind of, dive rush map. But yeah, the Orisa is really just, I think that is unfortunately Iliad Poseidon's way of saying that we really don't know what to go after, because the best chance that we have to win this series is by not, taking away one of the tools that we know how to play, which coincidentally, or maybe not so coincidentally, happens to be the same tools that Rat Milkers are using in this series right now. So it was a very hard decision to make, I'm sure, to ban something that would be impactful or just ban basically nothing at all. They chose nothing at all, and so they're just counting on the fact that they are going to be better at the characters that they are playing than Rat Milkers.
Yeah, I mean, we saw them play pretty well with the Wu Yang on map number 2, Blizzard World, so maybe there's going to be a little bit more comfortability here. You could see something a little bit different. We are going to be seeing the Sojourn Tracer as opposed to the Genji Tracer coming out for Rat Milkers, so that's going to be our only difference here. One team's going to have that Soj, the other's going to have the Genji. I tend to like the Soj a little bit more, but having the ability to throw that Tidal Burst onto a Genji that is potentially blading at somebody is also a really nice feature that you can potentially have. But in the general mid fights, I like Sojourn more with the railgun shots.
All right, well, all answers will come here as we begin map number 4, and Zachary gets the better of Rambo to start us off. Excellent job there by the Tracer of Rat Milkers. Wall comes down, but Iliad Poseidon just will not give them the satisfaction of fighting a losing fight.
And I mean, smart by them. They do lose Drain Cowboy as well. And Fish taking down Batman. I mean, this is just not what you can be doing
brutal.
right now if you're
George
Rat
is going to
Milkers.
die here too, man. Very lucky that he didn't.
No, absolutely. And I mean, you need to just completely regroup, make sure nobody else dies from your side right now.
And I mean, already only a minute into this map, and Rat Milkers are already under the bridge.
Mm-hmm.
Very, very quick push here for their side, and Drain Cowboy just gets absolutely eviscerated by Monkumi there. Dashed straight through, cut to bits, and oh my goodness. I mean, absolutely making you eat your words again here, Shadow, proving that the Genji is the truth. Gonna see Monkumi dash across the top, and I mean, this is just looking tough right now for Poseidon.
No, it really is, especially with Fish already having this ultimate online. Like, you got such a massive advantage, and here goes the ultimate coming out. George does use the downpour as well, but doesn't really get, manages to get Yojo out of it.
Well, I mean, the Dragon Blade also gets pulled. It's a 2-for-2 trade here, and we're going to see the TP come through, and Monkumi does end up falling there. Rambo able to track down that final blow, but I mean, this has been absolutely brutal as Fish and Shay versus the world here. Now the bot does end up going back toward the middle of the map as George takes down 2 at the wall.
Yeah, really good wall placement there from George. George already 46% on that ultimate. And, I mean, coming up here, you got dueling Kitsune rushes and pulse bombs available. It's literally mirrored ultimates at this point. Britsky getting close on that overclock going to be the main difference here.
All right, here we go. Pulse bomb out. Not going to find a target there as Shay turns attention towards this Tracer that is in their backline. Rambo finds the recall, finds the kill onto Zachary. Gojo has to jump over the wall behind them, has the downpour ready to go should they so choose to drop it down. Deflect up, finding a lot of damage into Rambo, forces that recall out. Now a beautiful chance for this downpour to come through for Gojo, as George is also built up to a second one here. Going to see the downpour come through on either side. Gojo incredibly low. George able to find that with that spike block. Will it be going the way of Iliad Poseidon as George, I mean, just building up so quickly to these downpours?
No, absolutely. Just getting massive, massive value on this hazard right now. And we're finally seeing some push come through from Iliad Poseidon. They do have the ult advantage here, having the Tidal Burst, Pulse Bomb, and the Overclock available to them. And Tidal Burst does go out onto the Tracer of Zachary.
All right. Back in, we're going to see the Tidal Burst out on to the Tracer. Knocks down Zachary. But Shay just two-tapping Rambo. That's a support character, by the way. Britsky with the Overclock trying to find anything, but that health pool just so brutally low that there really was nothing that they could do. We're going to see this George Sun hazard jump back out as the pressure gets continually pressed by this Iliad Poseidon team. These hazards going at it on the front line here. Spike guards finding poke damage, trying to keep this resource meter up, but just kind of a wait and see fight right now. Okay, there's the C. There's the C. Kitsune rush down from either side. Zachary's very low as the trade comes in for Shay for Britsky. Dragonblade pulled. Monkumi needs to save the day, but yeah, no, it's not happening.
No, it is not. You do lose the blade, but not super, not a crucial ultimate for this composition by any means. I think the pulse bombs and downpours, Kitsune rushes, and the support ults more important. Britsky going to be swapping onto that Reaper here. I guess trying to apply some more tank pressure onto Gojo here consistently. But the pulse bomb is going to be available for both sides here, so we're going to have to watch for those.
Zachary looking for it, but Rambo is the first casualty here. That is absolutely brutal. No backline pressure left except for this Reaper from Britsky. And we're going to see the downpour. That will only connect on one, unfortunately. They will be able to find that one. Fish falls. Good trade there as the downpour gets ready to come out for Gojo. But Shay goes down. You cannot invest here. You should not invest here. They will not, and we'll go down, but they keep that ultimate up.
Good job from George here, just taking down both backliners there, managing to get that stagger onto Gojo as well. And we are seeing some cart contests come through, which can be slightly irritating. Getting close on that checkpoint, which is what we want to see right here if you're Iliad Poseidon. Going to have that Pulse Bomb online still, as well as that Tidal Burst, and it does come out.
All right, able to stop the push before it gets capped. That's not good, though. The cap will end up coming through at some point in the near future. And they will begin their push in the back half of this map.
Here we go, Iliad Poseidon getting some more push here. We're seeing the value of that Reaper come through from Britsky, getting a few final blows there in the middle of that fight. Kitsune rush advantage for the side of Iliad Poseidon. I think that's going to be the key, one of the key ultimates here for sure.
Pulse Bomb does not connect, though, for Zachary, and that lead not quite relinquished yet. Batman incredibly low, but Monkumi just absolutely masterful tracking of where that Kiriko was going, but does end up going down to that spike wall. You can see that George wants this backline dead. Rambo will take care of that job, and the wall comes down for Gojo, takes care of George's son. They will not relinquish the lead here, as it is a 2 versus 2, and this health pool not looking excellent. Well, that's not good, as Gojo ends up going down here. And I mean, the stragglers are coming back. Monkumi, with the help of a little bit of this healing from Fish, able to keep it going. Now they're pushing it back. That was a very tight fight.
It was a very long and prolonged fight in 2, and I like that Iliad Poseidon is finally able to just get a kind of a reset here. We're going to reset it mid, go for this fight again. Rat Milker's going to have essentially every ultimate online except for that Pulse Bomb. Iliad Poseidon looking very similar, just not going to have that Tidal Burst. There's going to be a lot of ults getting traded here.
The least obvious Death Blossom of my lifetime gets 2 kills. Britsky teleporting right into the middle of the team finds 2, and you can see Rambo giving up there, does not want to be staggered too hard. Because, in all reality, this is going to be a lead loss here for Rat Milkers.
No, it absolutely is. There's something about it. When you watch high-level Reaper players, it really does feel like they just pop right in the middle of the team and still manage to get multiple kills. Like I don't know. I find Reaper play so fascinating at high levels because you think he's such a easy character or something like that, but then it's just an absolute dominance from him.
Well, there is Zachary able to take care of Drain Cowboy with the help of that title rush. And with Batman being harassed as heavily as he is right now, there's just absolutely no way that without that Wu Young that anybody else can really survive. How are they doing this?
Well, you see, Batman got the health back. And then, no, I'm just kidding. That was a crazy play from Batman, just staying alive just long enough. No ults really getting traded still, which is probably the craziest part of this whole thing. Both teams still just have 4 ultimates. I mean, I have to imagine they're going to come off at some point here shortly.
All right, here we go. Continuing rush down from Batman. Shay has one of their own. This downpour will not connect with anybody significant at the very least. Pulse Bomb will neither, but Drain Cowboy does fall to the spike block. You see Britsky up there is very low, able to get cut down by this. But the bot is going for a trip here with Zachary. These players for the side of Iliad Poseidon do not want that to go that way because they just lost their spawn advantage.
No, absolutely. I mean, good play there from Zachary to just deny that spawn advantage, but you do have to have the cart touch, and Batman getting another headshot onto Zachary.
Yeah, that is absolutely brutal. You needed to stay alive there. Kitsune rush down from Shay. They have the Dragon Blade ready to go as well. Mankumi dashes through. Rainbow Dragon Blade will find, not much there, unfortunately. The teleport away. Mankumi does go down. No way to escape that time. George Sun jumps in a precarious position indeed. Britsky trying to get away. Will be able to get away with the help of that Wraith form. Now, George Sun, a sliver of HP. We're going to see the tidal wave in from Rambo, and it will connect onto Fish, and that will be enough to put the numbers in the way of Iliad Poseidon. Pulse Bomb will not connect, but it will be a second map in a row for Iliad Poseidon, now doing the learning of their own.
I mean, they absolutely are, and I gotta say, like the two Wu Yangs, it seemed like they were just getting better and better at playing the Wu Yang as the map went on. There was the side of Iliad Poseidon and Drain Cowboy, and it just wasn't making as much of a difference. Even when Fish was building up that ultimate a little bit faster, you were still having that poke damage in the mid fight, and I think that was really what the big difference was in the early on maps when we were seeing the Lucio pick come out.
You know what? I've also been noticing this through, especially that map, because we got a lot of visual on that this particular ultimate, but the tidal rush onto the Tracer being almost exclusively used to get a knockdown on the opposing Wu Young. Yeah. I think it happened every time, whether it was Zachary or Rambo. The Wu Young was throwing that ultimate on to their Tracer, and that Tracer was absolutely beaming toward the back line for, most of the time it was the opposing Wu Young, because even with that slide, it's kind of hard to escape the vicinity of that ultimate when a Tracer is blinking toward you. So getting that last title rush out for the side of Iliad Poseidon really did put them in a strong position to win that map.
Absolutely, having the knockdown and then just essentially the free kill onto at least one character, specifically if it's that Wu Yang, it's just massive, insane amounts of value. So yeah, it's really cool to see the two teams just having a strategy at the very least every single fight and what they're going to do with that ultimate and just trying to capitalize on it every single time.
Yeah, these teams are very, very smart, and the smarter team will be the one that comes out on top in map number 5. We're going to take a quick break here, and when we come back, we will see, does Iliad Poseidon stay undefeated on the season, or will Rat Milkers pick up their first? We'll have to see when we come back. Welcome back, everybody. A 5th map on the horizon. Potential reverse sweep for Iliad Poseidon. Excellent job adapting, overcoming, taking advantage of the tools that, you know, Rat Milkers has shown to them to be incredibly strong. Specifically, the Wu Young has been absolutely pivotal in both of these teams' success thus far this series. So now, as we head to map number 5, Rialto, Shadow, it's kind of tight.
Yeah, this is tough, and it's giving me map number 1 flashbacks. We saw Rat Milkers run that Farah composition on map number 1 consistently, and I think Rialto is another map we could potentially see a lot of that Farah come out here. It would make sense to me. I mean, you've been struggling more on the Genji the last 2 maps, so you know, why not switch it up and go for that Farah pick here?
Yeah, I mean, this is one of those maps that we have seen a lot of Farah on in the past, right? You know, obviously Farah is a little bit less relevant than she has been previously, but this is definitely one of those maps where she is strong. A lot of cover to play around, especially in the sky, especially on, you know, those first couple of points. Rat Milkers, of course, getting the first ban here, and I'm curious, do they want to continue running this the hazard with the Farah, right? I'm very curious as to, you know, what they are thinking, because, you know, a lot of the problems that we had with the last ban coming in from the side of Iliad Poseidon was that they're both playing the same thing. And so it is hard to ban, you know, something that will be impactful that will not also hurt you as well. And this is kind of where I thought they might be going in the last map. It's going to be the Sojourn, which they're not as privy to as the side of Iliad Poseidon, which, you know, really was only one right answer, and I think that they did hit that there. So it's going to be even more difficult to deal with the Farah should that be what they want to do.
No, absolutely. And I think here, if you're Iliad Poseidon, I think you ban Hazard and go for Diva Mirrors. I think that's, you know, switch it up at this point. We're going to see the Winston ban, so, I mean, you know, fair enough, I guess.
I mean, we have seen, I guess, Iliad play a little bit of Winston tonight. It wasn't good, unfortunately for them. Blizzard World not quite going their way, even with the help of our favorite scientist. But, you know, it's just the same thing as the last map, right? You know, everything that we want to play, they want to play, and we banned everything that would be unique to them. Whereas Rat Milkers, they've kind of played it patiently. They've kind of let it slip a little bit over the last couple of maps, but they've gotten through the first 2 with those, you know, bans that were more targeted towards what they want to play. And so, you know, they're headed into a map, of course, of their own selection that is a very comfortable for, you know, one of their players, you know, more comfortable characters in that Farah. Now, it will be, you know, just a question of who comes out on top.
And I do think, well, okay, that's interesting. If that's what we're actually going to be seeing, the Freya is definitely an interesting choice here. I don't think Freya is a bad choice by any means, but I was kind of expecting the Tracers to continue going at it, but it looks like we're going to be opting for a Widowmaker. So at this point, you're basically asking Britsky to tap Monkumi out of the air consistently. Like, that's just got to be what's happening. Otherwise, this far is just going to be raining rockets down on your team.
Yeah, I can't imagine that this Widowmaker stays in play for a super long time, but you saw Zachary with that bolt was very prepared for that. 15 HP for Britsky, going to have to go back into the spawn room. Not going to switch just yet. Okay, we'll actually go over to a Freya of their own as the spam continues to come through. Monkumi trying to find some damage into this hazard. That boop, of course, with the steadfast passive, will not be too affected by it. Monkumi going back in. This is just a bit of a spam battle right now. Who can do the spam better? And right now, those health pools suggest that it is Iliad Poseidon. Satoru Gojo incredibly low, has to jump away. So Iliad will be able to weather.
They do manage to get around this first major corner of point number 1 here. And again, not really much going on in terms of just trading damage. Rambo getting Moncoon. Huge kill.
Yeah, that is absolutely brutal. And now Rat Milkers understand that their win condition is to stay alive. They still have a touch comfortably that is here coming into the end of this objective. Monkumi coming back on the Tracer. The Pharah no longer going to be a factor in this map. Monkumi already very low, but able to take down Britsky. Kitsune Rush down for the side of Rat Milkers, able to keep this fight going. George Sun somehow just able to face tank all of the damage that came from that Kitsune Rush and get out from it via, very, very healthy. They're trying to keep Satoru up a little bit as the tidal wave is ready to go, but Gojo just dives in all alone. Nobody to follow up on that. The bullet shots will not connect, unfortunately, and with 2 minutes on the clock, it's looking pretty difficult as the Wuyong will actually opt to pop that tidal wave themselves. Dragon Blade pulled, maybe a little bit overkill, but Rambo will clean up 3.
I mean, that's the main positive you can take out of this. If you're Rat Milkers, you get Blade out. You do burn your Tidal Burst there, which not the best if you're Rat Milkers. You're left with just a downpour available. Monkumi getting close on this Pulse Bomb as well. We're going to be seeing, though, for the side of Iliad Poseidon, they've got that Bola online. They have the Kitsune, and they also have the Tidal Burst as well. I mean, just a lot of power available for the side of Iliad Poseidon. Right?
Coming in here on the high ground, we're going to see the dive onto the Freya, and Rambo will take care of that kill swiftly. Now it is a fight in the corner with these hazards who will, dissipate there in the end. Batman very, very low, but you see Tracer Monkumi not being able to track that kill down, able to keep George up and healthy. Bola shots ready to go. Will just go right over the head of George's son, and Britsky taken down after some help from that Zachary Freya. Does end up getting traded out, unfortunately. Monkumi does. I see the downpour in for our blue team, and not gonna find a whole lot there in the end, unfortunately. Downpour gonna come in from the other side as well. Zachary does end up falling to drain Cowboy, who does end up going down to that spike guard as Rambo continues to put in these shurikens from afar. It's the picks are it seems like it's going all the way of red right now. Iliad Poseidon, they've gotten more picks, but the Rat Milker spawn is just so close that they're able to stay in this fight for so damn long. Rambo falls. George Sun and Batman both so low. Less than 100 HP for George Sun. Fish cleans that up, and it will be a hold here for the side of Rat Milkers.
Finally does go the way of Rat Milkers. That fight took a very, very long time, but eventually just the damage coming in from George Sun, the damage coming in from Gojo, Monkumi eventually just overtaking that fight. And we are seeing a bit of an ultimate advantage for the side of Rat Milkers here. They've got that Bolo, they've got the Pulse Bomb, and they have the Tidal Burst as well on their side here. Big thing they're probably going to want to be watching for here is Rambo's Blade that is incoming.
Well, there is the tidal wave from Fish, who just gets absolutely obliterated there. And will, eat one of their own. There does Zachary, sent back from Rambo with love. George Sun gets in there, cracks down on Zachary. Pulse Bomb does connect, but dies before it can be much of an issue. A great little tidal wave there. Helps to take down Shay. And here we go, Dragon Blade from Rambo. Fish, the target now. Rambo just able to consistently find a lot of value with that Dragon Blade. And now they will have 2.5 minutes coming into Objective C.
Great patience there from Rambo, just kind of holding on to that dash until they saw they would get right in the face of Fish there, managing to get the kills onto both of the backliners there with the Blade. And we do have a lot of ults online, both sides, both downpours, both Kitsune rushes, and both bolos available for both sides, obviously.
All right, here we go. Zachary down. The bolas will, I assume, help to take care of the other side there. Both Reyes out of this fight. Downpour ready to roll here for the side of Gojo, and they will need it to be big as the Kitsune rush comes down. George Sun just getting pumped full of damage, but Gojo cannot deal enough to kill. Will end up jumping on to Rambo, taking them down with that spike block. Bullet shots now ready to go for Britsky. Gonna throw that down, will not connect. Neither will the bolts here. Britsky 50 HP. Needing to back down, does end up getting that healing. Now Monkumi prowling, looking for somebody to shoot at, and unfortunately not quite able to do anything. Fish there will drop the tidal wave there on it to Gojo, who will be able to find it, both of those kills, make that all 3. So Rat Milkers now a minute on the clock, very, very well positioned to hold here.
No, absolutely. As tough as it's felt for Rat Milkers so far, they have been doing a very good job of just draining this clock consistently. They're taking good chunks of time out time and time again. And here we are in potentially last fight territory. You could maybe get 2 fights out here, but I'm thinking this will most likely be the last fight unless it's a quick one.
I mean, well, Gojo's down. As long as these fights have been, it could have gone for a while, but Drained Cowboy finds 2, and there's just going to have to be a disengage here for the side of Rat Milkers. They might get one more.
Yeah, that's going to be a tough ask. The touch does come out from Monkumi, though.
Okay. Well, we see the jump there with the downpour, the Dragon Blade, though just too much to withstand. Consistency is Rambo's name right now. 7.3 seconds off the back of a great little combo there right at the end.
Yeah, I mean, that's great push overall from Iliad Poseidon. Getting the map completion at all is great. Getting it with time, even better. Not very much time, mind you, but time nonetheless, so that you might give yourself a little bit of an advantage there if the Rat Milkers are to cap this map. But it's been a really hard go of it for the Rat Milkers so far, and these stats show exactly what the map has felt like. It's felt like Iliad Poseidon has way more limbs and kills than Rat Milkers does, and you can see that just across the board. That has basically been the case so far. So if you're Rat Milkers, you need to just kind of get more kill confirmations, and it might just be the case that you want Monkumi to run out on that Genji as well, because we've seen them do such a good job at getting those slashes and kill confirms, and that's what we've seen Rambo doing so much of this map that's just been missing from Rat Milkers.
Yeah, it's been kind of tough. That said, even with the statistical advantage going in the way of Iliad Poseidon, it has felt like Rat Milkers have been very resilient, even if they've, got a lot more deaths. The fights have gone on for such a long time.
Yes.
So, that time bank could have and probably should have been a lot bigger for Iliad Poseidon upon their completion. Now we head into the attack of Rat Milkers, and now they need to, at the very least, complete this map. Poke coming through Monkumi, finding a little bit of spam. This wall, kind of a nuisance, but the spike block will make it just fine. George, that block cannot last forever, will not last forever, and neither will George, as, this hazard going down basically means an instant fight loss for Iliad Poseidon, or it should. We've kind of seen some different stuff today, but it will this time.
Yes, this time it will definitively go the way of Rat Milkers. And we're seeing Rambo get that rocket deflection, I'm assuming, onto Monkumi there. So what a great play from Rambo. And you need to be very careful right now if you're Rat Milkers. And there's Rambo getting another one on Gojo.
Doesn't look like they were being very careful.
Oh.
Fish goes down. Fight is over before it can even begin here.
No, it absolutely is. And I got to shout out Britsky already having that Bolo online. They must be getting some insane shots off with this Freya to already have this ultimate built up like that.
Right. George having to jump out there, staying alive. Always good to see on that hazard. Head up to the high ground now. You're trying to deal with this if you're Gojo, but I mean, the support is just ridiculous for George. He's getting the cleanses. He's getting the heals from Drain and Cowboy. George now headed up to the high ground. Monkumi trying to spam, but there is just no spam to be had. George dives to the right. You know, those players have already left that area, but it's the fact that Rat Milkers have not really dedicated themselves to any particular idea. The Kitsune Rush comes down. Zachary will be good for the first. The Pulse Bomb stuck to the top of the bridge will find Drain Cowboy. However, the trade's going the way of Rat Milkers here. So will be a 2 versus 3 as Iliad Poseidon waits for their respawns.
There is definitely going to be another touch here. You got to be careful if you're Monkumi. You cannot go down here. Your ultimate is going to be pretty key, I feel like, to winning this fight. You got to get some nice elims with that Rocket Barrage.
Now the Downpour didn't find a lot. Here's the Rocket Barrage, finding 2, finding 3. Beautifully done. Rambo does dash through Monkumi, but the numbers are so heavily in the favor of this Rat Milker squad that it's going to be brutal. That's exactly what you said Monkumi needed to do, and he delivered.
If you're going to run the Pharah, you've got to get consistent spam damage out and consistent high value out of your ultimates. Because again, we've seen the Genji seems to be the better pick overall. So if you're going to play the off meta pick, if you will, you need to be getting high value with your ultimates and in the fight to make up for that fact.
All right. On to the second objective here. Britsky on the Reaper once more. Saw that last map. See how this is going to go with the tidal wave ready to roll. Downpour ready to go for Gojo. Will throw that in. Not going to connect, unfortunately. George Sun is alone, though. Going to see that healing boost out onto George. Gets the tidal wave. Going to go in. Going to be able to drop Fish dead there with that ultimate. Will be good for Iliad Poseidon to hold on to this point. They need to get through the next 2.5 minutes.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, the tough thing about that is that you lose your Downpour if you're Rat Milkers. You do manage to build up to a Pulse Bomb. Could be some high value here, but Iliad Poseidon still holding on to that Kitsune Rush and the Blade. We've seen Rambo get such high value out of these Blades. That's the thing I'd really be afraid of. There's no defensive ultimate to speak of. All you really have is a Suzu, and so it's going to be tough to not have somebody go down to this Blade of Rambo.
Could not agree more, as you know that Rambo is looking for it. Finding some good damage into the Pharah there, who will be tracked down in the end. Kitsune Rush comes in from either side. Rambo with this Dragon Blade ready to go. It's going to come out. It's going to be powerful. Well, he's forced away, unfortunately, for the side of Iliad Poseidon. That Kitsune Rush, that Dragon Blade thrown to the side. Now Rambo is resorting to having to just spam for the rest of time, it appears. Now, from the high ground, trying to find something. This Monkumi Pharah kind of being a nuisance as they're able to get rid of Rambo. The Britsky Death Blossom, this time not going to find 2. Will be ripped to only their death as Monkumi continues to push the agenda here, and 0.02 meters remain. It is not a very favorable fight here for George Sun, as it will be Rat Milkers moving into the third point.
And honestly, the really tough thing here, if you're Rat Milkers here, you don't have either of your support ultimates. So you're going to have to, again, like I keep talking about with Monkumi, you just got to get some high barrage. If you get some high value out of this barrage, you're looking at a cap here potentially. If you really would like to get it before this tidal burst of Drain Cowboy can go on to somebody.
All right, well, here is the downpour in from Satoru Gojo. Monkumi dropping the rocket barrage. Britsky able to come out of that Wraith form and deal swiftly with that Pharah. Now moving back over towards the objective, trying to take care of this backline. The support, Sachiro Gojo, bailing back to help them out. Genji, very, very low. Rambo able to survive as Zachary takes care, or gets taken care of, rather, by George Sun. The wall is down. Britsky has to use the Wraith form to get away. Will stay alive and healthy in this fight. Gojo gets the cleanse, backs out, and Britsky teleporting into the middle of the team. No Death Blossom this time, as the stragglers will come back here. Man, Shadow, these fights are just so grueling.
No, there's no real ultimates to speak of either. It seems like both teams just kind of poking, looking for their ultimates here. Fish gonna have that title burst available now, and Rambo got that blade online, and here comes the blade out from Rambo immediately.
Yeah, taking care of Fish. That dash ready to go. Gonna jump onto this Kiriko, taking down 2, and just a travesty for the side of Rat Milkers. You cannot afford to stand around and poke any longer. You only have 30 seconds left to get through the end of this map.
And you don't have much to do it with, quite frankly. You got the title burst online. You are very, very close to the downpour as well from Gojo, and pretty close on the pulse bomb, but the other side has their downpour available as well as getting close on their Death Blossom.
Yeah, Tidal Wave came out there onto Zachary, of course, going straight after that Drain Boy on the Wu Young. The downpour will help to take down Batman. Monkumi able to drop Britsky there. Now George Sun with 10 HP will fall. It is a 1 versus 2 here. Need to take care of this Genji, and they will. So now their final hope in this series of getting their first win of the season relies on just this overtime wick.
Oh my goodness, and they don't really have any ultimates to speak of either. Monkumi the closest, but 76%. Oh, hold on, wait a minute. Wait a minute, these Shuriken are coming out right now.
Well, Tide reversed here, and it will knock down Fish, who is able to live. That is so important, but Satoru Gojo goes down. I mean, canonically, I might add, will go down in the final hour. Iliad Poseidon get the reverse sweep here. Rat Milkers, looking significantly better than what their last week's, results would have, made you assume. But in the end, the storm is weathered by Iliad Poseidon.
Yeah, that was a crazy turnaround from Iliad Poseidon because, quite frankly, Rat Milkers looked absolutely dominant on maps number 1 and 2. So you wouldn't have expected a complete turn in the way that it's almost as if Iliad Poseidon just kind of figured out Rat Milkers. It's not like the maps were not close either. Like, the following 3 maps that Iliad Poseidon took were very, very close. Any one of them could have gone Rat Milkers' way every single time. So we had a 5-point Saravasa. We had a push that was differentiated by 5 meters, if even. And then this one right here, it comes down to the last fight there on Rialto, right there at the end of the map.
Yeah, I mean, as close as a series can get near the end, but it's Iliad Poseidon that comes out on top of it. A long, grueling series. They remain undefeated on this season, but now we will take another short break here. When we come back, we will have a winner's interview here. Not quite sure who with, but we will let y'all know after this quick break. All right, welcome back, everybody. We've got Rambo here from Iliad Poseidon. A long and grueling fight to the finish there. Very, very close in the end, but y'all get it done, Rambo. How are y'all feeling post match? Like, how are the comms?
Dude, it was just screaming at the end. We were so excited. We had like a after map 2, we had like a little talk and like we rallied together. I'm so proud of them. I really can't be any more prouder than them.
Oh, that's awesome. I mean, that kind of leans into the first question I was going to ask you. What do you think happened between maps 2 and 3 to really turn the series around in your favor? Because I mean, honestly, Rat Milkers was kind of dominating map 2.
I think it's mainly that we all came together as a team. Like I said, we had that discussion after map 2. We found out what we were doing wrong with our comms, because it was comms communication the first 2 maps, and we all calmed down. We all got out of our own heads, and we just focused on target priority and making sure we're actually going to the right target and coming together as a team at the end there.
I mean, you can definitely tell the way things were going there. And I mean, you mentioned to us a little bit before that this is your first game you played in a while, for quite a while. What does this make you think, though, for the rest of the season now that you've gotten some action, a crazy reverse sweep like this?
I'm excited. Like, not only in like my personal like career of getting back into Overwatch competitively, because it's been like 2 years, but I'm excited for this team. Like, ever since I joined this team maybe 2 months ago now, like we've like been improving every scrim. Every scrim I see improvement with the team, and I don't see a team that in this tournament that could put up any more of a fight than what this team does. Like every scrim, every match, we're fighting.
Yeah, we definitely saw the fight there in the back half of that series, Rambo. I mean, what an incredible end. Y'all stay undefeated on the season 2-0. But now, as we get ready to say goodbye for the night, Rambo, do you have anything else to bring up that maybe we didn't talk about, or any shout outs that you would like to make?
I can't think of one person on my team that specifically I can shout out. I think that was just a good team win, like all around. I think everyone played well.
I mean, I agree. I think all 10 players in the lobby tonight played extremely, extremely well. Y'all got the better of it tonight, though, so yes. Congratulations for that, Rambo.
I did want to say kudos to the other team. They put up a hell of a fight. I was very shocked. I was like, oh man, they're putting up a fight.
Rambo, we will bid adieu for tonight. We wish y'all the best of luck in the next couple of matches headed into that mid-season tournament.
Thank you. GG's.
Now, Shadow, I mean, Headrammer has unfortunately not updated the score yet, but it was a very, very long and hard-fought game here tonight between Iliad, Poseidon, and Ravagos. Thank you, Headrammer. I appreciate it. I mean, you can't really ask for more.
No, absolutely not. Reverse sweeps are always super fun to see, especially ones like this where it was such a dominant performance from Rat Milkers, and then it was so tightly contested the back 3 maps to get the reverse sweep. So Iliad Poseidon had to be like on top of their P's and Q's, not missing any of their cooldowns, not missing any of their dives, and it was really impressive to see.
Yeah, I mean, incredible fight, incredible job to both teams here tonight, but that will do it here for this match and for week number 2. Week number 3 on the horizon. We'll be back in just a few days, hopefully Wednesday. That is the goal, is to be back on Wednesday for some week number 3 action. Thank you all for watching, and we will see y'all in the next one.
Name straight, new wave. straight new age. Name straight new age.